Over the years, many cars have been released in Grand Theft Auto Online. There's over 300 cars are in GTA Online today, which resulted in many cars being forgotten, which is why I'm making today's video, that being cars that have been forgotten in GTA Online. Sorta a sequel to a video I made last year, but I don't want to sit here and put a number 3 or a number 2 on the video because I don't want new viewers to my channel to be left out. But yeah, with all that out of the way, let's go and get started with the video. Starting off the list would have to be the Torero XO. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Torero. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Excuse me if I'm not, sorry about that. But this car has crazy acceleration, however the braking and handling isn't that great. In a straight line, it is a very fast car. It has a lot of cosmetic upgrades, customizing the trunk, the hood, the skirts, the roof. It has a lot of livery options as well, spoiler options, and I do like the pop-up headlights in this car. It makes them really unique. This car was released with the Criminal Enterprise DLC in 2022, and it was quickly overshadowed by the 10F, the Vajero ZX, and even the Kanjo SJ. And it also didn't help with the fact that this isn't an HSW car either. This car also does not have Imani Tech as well, which nowadays in GTA Online, unfortunately the case is, if your car does not have HSW or Imani Tech, or isn't viable in any races, then it's not going to stay relevant. This car is not going to win you any races, so I would just stick with the Krieger or the Emirates. But overall, this is a nice car. I would recommend buying it if you have the money, or if you plan on expanding your Lamborghini collection in GTA Online. Overall, I don't have much more to say with this car. It's unfortunate that it fell off the way it did, but that seems to be the case for the rest of these cars on this list. Next on the list would be the Corsita. The Corsita has good top speed. The acceleration isn't that good, however, so in a straight line, it won't be winning you any races. It is in the sports class, so don't be expecting this car to beat the big 3 of the sports car class, that being the Pariah, the Italia GTO, the Italia RSX. This car does have a fair bit of customization, I will say. Not as customizable compared to the Torero XO, considering they both came out in the same update, that being the Criminal Enterprise DLC. And much like the Torero XO, this car does not have HSW or Imani Tech, and it has a decent bit of customization, but this car was, of course, like the Torero XO, overshadowed by the Obey 10F and the Vajero ZX. So this car is pretty expensive, I will say. I don't think the price is very justified, if I'm being honest, considering you're not going to be winning races, there's no Imani Tech, it's not HSW. It's a nice looking car, I will say. A fair amount of customizations, but overall, I don't think you need this car, and I think that's the reason why this car fell off. Now, what I will say about this car is that it's insultingly slow, especially for the price tag being $1.6 million, which at the time of the release of this vehicle was a lot of money. Even to today's standards, I will say this car is not worth the price. This car isn't even top 10 of its class, that being the supercar class. It does, however, have good handling, I will give it that, so maybe it will be quite decent around a circuit. But as for customizations, the customization on this car is a huge letdown. There's barely any cosmetic upgrades. There's no liveries, there's no skirt options, there's no mirror options, there's no hood options, roof options. The only option there really is adding a spoiler to it, and there's only like 3 spoilers to choose from, and honestly they all look pretty bad on this car, so you're better off is not adding a spoiler to this car. But on a side note, I do like my Reaper. I know I was just dragging this car, but I like mine because I like the neon pink I added to it. It's a crew color. I'm not sure what the hex code is. You know, I'm going off topic, but I think my car looks pretty cool, you know. I think it looks cool how the color bounces off in the sunlight and how it sort of like glows. But other than that, this car is kind of a waste, if I'm being honest. But for the price of $1.6 million, you can get so many better cars, that being the tuner cars, the Pariah, the Italia GTO, the Obey 10F. I would say this car is solely a collector's item. I would not go out of my way to purchase this vehicle unless I was collecting it for a supercar collection or collecting it for a Lamborghini collection. I just wouldn't plan on wasting my money on this car if it was any other way. Next on the list would be the Tailgater S. This car came out in the Tuners DLC, and in a straight line, this is a super fast car, but this is a Tuners car, so it's going to be a fast car by default. It has good handling, and it's in the sedans class, so it can perform quite well in the sedans class. But let's be honest for ourselves, when's the last time have you been in a race where you're in the sedans class? However, this car is not viable for Tuner Series races, considering the Coleco, the Vector, and the Sultan RS Classic are the meta cars for those races. Of course, since this is a tuner's car, Rockstar went all out with customizations, of course, but me personally, I just don't like the look of this car. I think the headlights look weird to me. I don't like the grille either. It has a really awkward shape to me. And in my opinion, I think that Michael's car from single player, that being the original Tailgater, I think that car actually looks better than the Tailgater S. Yeah, the Tailgater S looks more realistic, but I think the original Tailgater that Michael owns in story mode this looks better to me in my opinion. I also believe this car was overshadowed and forgotten because in the Tuners DLC came with the release of many JDM cars and muscle cars and sports cars, that being the ZR350, the Euros, GSR RR, the Common S2, the Growler, and the Dominator ASP, and a few other cars as well. But there wasn't really any excitement for the Tailgater S. A lot of people, when they saw a trailer and the newswire for the Tuners DLC, everybody was pretty much talking about the ZR350 and the Jesser RR and the Dominator ASP. Nobody really cared about the Tailgater S, honestly. Like, it was there, sure, but it didn't really make a difference, evidently, considering that this car, nobody really talks about it, nobody really drives it around, brings it to car meets. But yeah, that's pretty much all we got to say about this car. There's just really not a lot of excitement on this car because of the DLC it came out in, so it sort of just fell off. Last on my list would be a quite newer car, and forgive me if I butcher the name of this car, that being the Karin Asterope GZ. This car came out with a Chop Shop DLC, and to me, this car feels weirdly unfinished. It feels like a car that would have came out in 2016 and 2017. It's very cheap compared to most cars in GTA Online's economy. That being that this car only costs $400,000. This car drives really average, almost feels like how the Kuruma drives actually, if I'm being honest. And the customization for this car is super underwhelming. Like, it's surprisingly underwhelming. With this car, like I said, this car feels like it was vaulted in 2016. You can't even lower the suspension all the way on this car, which makes no sense to me. Not only that, but since this car came out with Chop Shop DLC, that being the DLC that introduced drift tuning, you would think that this car would be eligible for the drift tuning upgrade, but it's not. This car can't drift, there's no HSW upgrades, and there's no Imanitech to it either. This car overall, it just feels super average and lackluster. And to be honest, this car feels like a poor man's Fathom FR36, considering the Fathom FR36 has drift tuning and better cosmetic upgrades. And for the price of this car, and in the year this car came out in, I'd say it wouldn't hurt to buy it. It won't break the bank, it's only $400,000. Even after upgrading it, you're not even going to break $1 million. But with this car barely having any customizations, no drift tuning, no HSW, no Imanitech, and the Fathom FR36 being the better car overall, there's no wonder why this car just came and went. Now, that was my video of cars I believe have been forgotten in GTA Online. If you think I missed any cars, let me know down in the comment section below. But if you guys did go enjoy this video, like and comment would be appreciated. Subscribe to the channel. And with all that out of the way, I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody.